Man, it's been a while since I've been on YouTube. I just gotta come out and say, guys, I am want to be repurposing this channel. And I want to have this discussion with you guys as my current subscriber base to let you guys know where I want to take the channel and to provide you guys an opportunity to decide if this type of content where I want to take the channel will fit your interest and provide some kind of benefit to you. So, in short, this has been a financial literacy channel. This has been a self-help channel. And before that, it was a car review channel. And now, 2 years into my graduate degree, getting my master's, finishing my master's up in history, I realized my highest calling in life is to teach people about history, but to not just recite facts, events, to not just tell you, okay, well, this is important, this is important, this isn't important. But it's really to use history as a vehicle to teach people how to critically think, to teach people how to reevaluate certain things that are happening in their own life. That's my highest calling. And so, having said that, I want to repurpose this channel to become a channel based around history. So whereas before I was based around finances and money and so forth, now I want the emphasis to be based around history. So the kind of content that I'm thinking of to begin this new phase to begin this new direction for the channel is discussion. I think that there's a lot that one can gather out of reading a piece of history and then simply just talking about it. In particular, there's this book that I'm reading right now. It's called Overreach. I'm gonna show you guys the cover again. So that's Putin and Vladimir Zelensky on the cover. And this book is a book about providing context to the sequence of events that have taken place since 2022 in regards to the Russian-Ukraine war. It's written by a Russian reporter, and he is providing insight into the history of the tension between the Russian and the Ukrainian people, geopolitically, politically, and otherwise. But he's also providing context into the thinking, the strategic thinking of Putin. What was Putin trying to accomplish with this war? And so I think that it's worth it to have books like this to read and for me to pick out points that I found interesting and to discuss with you guys, because ultimately history provides a perspective to see the world that we're living in today. Let's take the controversial topic that's really big right now, the Israel-Hamas war. You can't simply look at October 7th and the attack, the Hamas attack on Israel, and understand what it is that is happening in the Middle East right now. And particularly my field of study, I am a modern historian, modern European historian. whose focus is on Nazi Germany, the Holocaust, and Jewish history. There's a little bit of that I've covered in my program, and that history there, I mean, the history of anti-Semitism, I mean, these things have rich, very deep roots. They go all the way back to, if you want to take it to the Roman Empire, to the life of Jesus. We can go 2,000 years back in history if you really want to go to the beginning of the Israel-Palestinian conflict. And if you really want to take it further than that, you can take it all the way back to the covenant that the Jews received from Abraham, that they would be promised a holy land. So what I'm saying is that to understand this world that we're living in, it's necessary to understand the historical change, but not only just understand what has happened, what is the significance of it? What does that mean for us? And I think that I may have some viewers who may be a little bit interested in history, maybe not. And I would like to just challenge you, because I know, trust me, I know as a young man dating in 2024, I understand history is not a hot topic. When I tell people that I'm a historian, when I tell people that I'm a grad student studying history, there's no flair to it. It's not exciting. I mean, probably that one who's for me, she may find it exciting, but there's no flair to it. I'm not selling $1 million apartment buildings. I'm not doing $1 million deals, you know. But I'll challenge you and I'll say this. History can be applied in other areas of your life. Let's take dating. We can go and we can look at the history of marriage and relationships in Europe. After all, the United States is a product of European civilization. We could go back 200 years and we can study what marriage was like in early modern Europe. Because I can tell you right now, from my understanding of the modern European landscape, this whole idea that we have in today's society of like, oh, I need to love my partner, I need to be madly in love with this person, I need to be infatuated with this person. Let me tell you, 200-300 years ago in early modern Europe, marriage was a very much institutional, functional thing. This whole idea of wanting to like almost glorify the person that you're with, it wasn't a thing. That's a very recent development in the history of relationships. In early modern Europe, people got married for functional reasons, for survival. The elites did it because maybe one kingdom was going to merge with another kingdom, and so this was the way of combining kingdoms, was through marriage. But on a more lower level, it was about survival. So you can even look at things like that, study the history of marriage, study the history of various geopolitical events. You can study the history of literally anything that's going on in your life, and we can talk about it. I have very broad interest in history. Like I said, my concentration is in European history, but what I hope to bring to this channel is a new perspective, using history to understand one's own life. And so, having said all of that, some ideas, like I said, I have for content is discussion. We're going to talk about books like this. I'm going to pick out big points that I think are interesting, and hopefully we can get into some more content discussion. in the comments or perhaps on social media. I'd also like to, once I'm out of my program, my obligations are just too heavy on me right now to do this right now, but for the future and beyond, I would like to create a series where I talk about, and almost like a docu-series kind of sense, like something you might see on Netflix, of how did we get to particular places that we're at. Like if we take the issue of the anti-Semitism in the United States, what's the history of that? How did we get to this particular point? What is the history of anti-Semitism? These things just don't like boom out of the sky. There's a development to it, and so I would like to have like a series. I couldn't do it in one video. I couldn't talk about 2,000 years of history in one video. I couldn't do it. So something like that would have to be a series. It would have to take a lot of research and a lot of editing on my part to make sure that I'm presenting the facts in all the different various perspectives and so forth. So that's why further along as I begin to get back into the groove of making YouTube videos, and particularly once I finish my degree, that is something that I would love to begin to work on this channel. Another thing I would like to do also is similar to like discussion with a book like this, but to take it not just history, but I've seen like a YouTuber, Unjaded Jade, I don't know if you guys know her, but to take a book, a self-help book, and talk about it. But I would like to do it from the perspective of, okay, this is what the author is saying. Here's my take on it, but I still suggest that you guys read it and form your own conclusions. Rather than, I feel like before when I was talking about self-help, it was very much like paternalistic, like very much like saying like this is what you should do. And for me, it's just kind of like, as I've reevaluated my highest values, like my expertise is not necessarily in self-help, financial literacy. Like those things aren't necessarily my expertise. When I was talking about financial literacy on this channel, it was mostly coming from the vantage point of the fact that I had two parents as accountants. And so when you have parents who are both certified public accountants, like there's just a level of financial literacy that you're going to receive that the average person is not going to probably receive. Because for instance, my dad, he was a tax accountant, so he got to see all the kind of different things that people would do. He got to see their whole like financial life. My mom, she was a corporate accountant, so she got a whole different perspective. And so they're talking to me about their jobs, they're talking to me about their life, and they're giving me all of this knowledge. And so I was coming from that perspective, but it wasn't necessarily like my own expertise. And so, you know, my parents, they wanted me to study business, they wanted me to study accounting, but it just wasn't my passion. I found throughout my study of history, like, this is my passion. And I want to challenge my viewers, present viewers and future viewers, if you aren't that interested in history, give me one video when we talk about this book. Give me one video, and I promise you, if you give me one video and you don't think that history is interesting, you don't think that the way I make my content is interesting, fine. But I promise you, I'm very confident in my ability to teach, and to teach in a way, my storytelling, to teach in a way that will captivate you, that will make you interested, that will get you your brain turning and thinking in different ways. I'm very confident in that, and so I just challenge you to give me one video where we talk about this book, because this is going to be a really good topic for me, particularly with my interest in European history, Eastern European history, particularly, you know, the Soviet Union, and so this is going to be really cool for me, and I am really excited to bring that to you guys. So just give me one video just to see. And if my teaching isn't up to par, okay. But yeah, I mean, that's the plan for the channel, to get on here perhaps once a week, maybe a week and a half, talk about a history book that I'm reading, discuss it, highlight the big points of it, highlight how I think it's significant, but to challenge you guys to also think about what it is that I talked about and how that applies to you. I'm not here to necessarily tell you what to think, and this is where I stand in all applications of teaching. I am not a teacher. I do not intend to, in my professional appointments that I have, nor on here, to indoctrinate people. I'm going to teach you the truth. You know, whatever comes out of this book is, you know, I'm going to teach you the truth. And you can decide based on that truth how you interpret it, how you find meaning in what it is that I'm talking about. But that's my job as a teacher, is just to lead you to the water, but not necessarily make you drink the water. Because I'm coming in and I got biases, right? But I don't want to let my biases get in the way of teaching what it is that is true and what it is that actually happened. So that's the direction of this channel. Sorry that the video had to be a little bit longer. If you made it all the way through, thank you so much. Stay tuned. It's coming. It's gonna be really good, and yeah, I look forward to getting back into the groove of things. So yeah.